The Los Angeles wildfires devastated the city's Pacific Palisades and Altadena neighborhoods in January. A reported 18,000 homes and businesses were destroyed, and 30 deaths have been confirmed to date.
Can I be with you for the day? What can I do to help put me to work?
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty fascinating. It's a research paper recently published by Violet Affleck. She's 19, a Yale student.
Yeah, quite impressive. And we've got her paper from the Yale Global Health Review, but also some comments Jennifer Garner made on Live with Kelly and Mark. So our goal here is really to get into Violet's main points, specifically, how she connects the Pacific Palisades wildfires and the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right. And what that tells us about maybe her generation's viewpoint on these big environmental and health issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump right in. This central parallel she draws, linking societal responses to wildfires and the pandemic.
Yeah.
What similarities did she actually focus on?
Well, based on what Garner described, it seems Violet highlights sort of a similar pattern in how society initially reacted to both things. Maybe that phase of disbelief or underestimating the scale, followed by communities mobilizing, rallying together, although maybe how long that lasted or the specifics differed quite a bit.
Right, yeah.
But she seems focused on those first reactions, that initial collective response.
That makes sense. And then there's that very distinct Gen Z perspective.
Yeah.
Especially regarding the wildfires. That quote attributed to her about it being a question of when, not if, the Palisades would burn.
Wow, exactly. Yeah. That really signals a different way of thinking about risk, doesn't it? For a generation that's, grown up seeing climate impacts firsthand, the idea of wildfires in LA, it's not some abstract possibility.
It's just there, a known factor.
Right. It's perceived as maybe inevitable, which is probably quite different from how older generations might have seen it, Less certain, perhaps.
Yeah, less predictable, maybe.
It's like a fundamental shift in the baseline assumptions about environmental danger.
And you really see that generational difference illustrated in that anecdote with Jennifer Garner. Garner described herself as being shell-shocked by the fire risk, while Violet was apparently surprised that her mom was surprised. It really brings it down to a personal level, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It takes this kind of academic or generational observation and shows it playing out within a family. You have the parent reacting with shock to something the child sees as almost a given.
Yeah.
It just underscores how, direct experience and maybe just living with that constant climate awareness really shapes how you react individually.
And it wasn't only Violet showing this kind of awareness. Apparently, her younger brother, Samuel, also chimed in.
That's right. He asked about the connection between climate change and the winds, the ones making the fire worse.
Which is pretty insightful for a younger kid.
It really is. It shows maybe a growing climate literacy spreading through the generations, possibly, picking up on conversations happening around him.
Or influenced by his older sister's understanding, perhaps.
Precisely. Samuel's question, even if simple, points to an understanding that these environmental things are connected. That's probably something kids are grasping much earlier now. And Violet's reaction, reportedly a bit amused, hoping, most people get the climate crisis better, it suggests these aren't unusual conversations for them.
Right, it's part of their dialogue. And then finally, just touching on Jennifer Garner's comments about Violet being a self-starter and how proud they are of their kids finding their own paths.
Yeah.
It adds that human layer behind the research.
It does. It gives important context. You get the sense that Violet taking the initiative for this research, it probably comes from an environment that supports that kind of thing.
A nurturing space.
Exactly. It reminds you that these impressive academic achievements often have, a strong personal drive and family support behind them.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up as we dive out of this discussion. What's the core takeaway here?
I think the main thing is how Violet Affleck really manages to weave together academic thinking with her own lived experience. As someone from Gen Z living in a place directly impacted by climate change, that's a powerful lens.
Right.
And by drawing these lines between the wildfire response and the pandemic response, her paper gives us this really valuable viewpoint. It's about how these huge environmental events and our societal reactions are all tangled up, especially for a generation that's basically grown up navigating these interconnected crises.
That's a great way to put it. It's that intersection of the personal, the academic, and the generational. And it definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? Like, how much do our own experiences and just the general awareness level of our generation, how much does that really dictate how we see and tackle global challenges?
Whether it's climate change or public health.
Exactly. What are the hidden assumptions maybe that different age groups carry? And, if we understood those differences better, could we find more effective ways to actually work together on solutions?
Some really important questions to chew on there.
So definitely food for thought. Thanks for breaking this down with us today.